One of our favorite secret weapons for problem solving and negotiating is local real estate attorney Brian Lytle. In this series of Get Smart, Brian shares insights on mechanics liens.
Hi, I'm attorney Brian Lytle. In today's Get Smart episode, we'll be taking a look at the mechanics lien provision of the contracts. Before I get started, let me just note that this is not specific legal advice. It's a broad overview of the topic. There are three contracts in the Lismore & Associates area. The Rain contract, predominantly used on the peninsula, the Central Virginia, the CVR contract used in Richmond, and the Virginia Realtor contract used in the Williamsburg area and in many other areas across the state. Each handles things in the contract a little bit differently. On today's topic, mechanics liens, they're all the same though. And I would simply note that each of these contracts are fairly drafted for both the buyers and sellers. That way the agents can use them, whether the agent's representing the buyer or the seller. So the purpose of this particular Get Smart segment is to educate you on the mechanics lien provision. Other segments deal with other provisions. And of course, anytime ask your Lismore agent if you have any particular questions. Each of the contracts has a provision worded on, I think, identically, dealing with mechanics liens. And the reason for that is Virginia law requires this disclosure in the contract. And essentially a mechanics lien, as the paragraph implies, allows persons who've performed labor or furnished materials for the construction, removal, repair, improvement of any building or structure to file a lien against the property. And so that's essentially material men or women and suppliers. And it's a special kind of lien where it can work retroactively. That is, say a contractor performs work and then up to 90, and it gets a little complicated. We generally look at about 120 days, can file a lien against the property if they're not paid. So if you think about it, a closing can occur, work can have been done, might have been done in connection with that closing, and then after the buyer has taken title, maybe up to 90 days, perhaps more, a mechanics lien can be filed. So what we're looking at in a closing context, this is one of the reasons, the primary reason really, why we want all repair bills and the like incidental to the closing paid at closing. That way we know all that work has been paid and a mechanics lien can't be filed. If the seller has prepaid it, then we're going to require evidence that it has been paid. And those are the reasons for that. In addition to that, the seller is going to have to sign an affidavit for closing stating under oath that any such bills have been paid or will be paid at closing. There are no potential mechanics liens. In order for title insurance to flow, the settlement agent to know that that's not going to be an issue. So really the converse of that is why it's an issue for the buyer, and that's how we typically resolve it. I would note here that if this is new construction, then that potential problem becomes even more acute because there's so much more work. And there are draws to pay that work, and mechanics lien affidavits from the contractors or the suppliers may in fact be required. That's a little bit beyond the scope of this introduction. Just make sure that you talk to your Lismore agent if it's a new construction so that that can be resolved. That's really the end of this segment. You're welcome again to contact your Lismore agent if you have additional questions. But that's a brief introduction to mechanics liens. Thanks and have a great day.
Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications for our next installment of Get Smart with Brian Lytle.